Hey everyone, welcome to my show, My So-Called Fabulous. I'm Tiffany Blackman. How you doing out there, everyone? So great to talk to you today, and I am so excited because this one is going to be a good one. I have a pro athlete on the show today in the studio, Bryce Robinson.
Hey.
How are you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you're doing fabulous. Hence, you're on the show.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So meet my new friend, and we are going to tell you all our connections that we have. But Bryce is a pro athlete and an Olympic 2021 Tokyo. And tell us your sport.
So I run track professionally. I actually run for ASICS.
ASICS.
So the shoe company.
Right. Okay. Now, when you have a sponsor, do you get to choose? Are you there? Like, I know where I am with sponsors, but I mean, do you get to, how does that work?
Well, you don't really get to choose. I mean, you do get to choose. You can choose to, if like you're just a diehard Nike guy, you can
say no.
You can say no to whoever you want to say no to. But at the end of the day, you want to pay bills.
Exactly.
So whatever the biggest amount is, you're going to take it.
Exactly. So you were training for 2021, and we were having, and I want everyone to know that a lot of things that are coming out of my mouth, my husband will go, "Are you joking?" And you will too, Bryce. But I ran track in high school.
Okay.
There's that.
Yeah.
I did run track in high school. Okay. I ran the relays. Okay. And then I was shot put, pole vault, and disc, because nobody else would do it. No one else would do it. Now, me, I'm not a big gal, but shot put, can you imagine? I'd probably throw it across the room. But yeah, so I know that much. But I have watched you and our friend, we have a common friend, of course, and acquaintance, Sam Watts, which you ran against in college. He's at TCU. And of course, we have Ronnie and Josh and all our friends. But we have a common, because you are now living in Fort Worth. You were in Austin, another fabulous place for me, my second home. But you were in Austin, now moving to Fort Worth because you're training and you're working with Sam Watts at Watts Fitness, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am. It's something that I've actually talked about since I was in college. Me and Ronnie have started being friends in 2015. We made a USA team for World University Games. It was in Gwangju, South Korea, and we just became really good friends. And I remember I met Sam at a track meet. We were about to race against each other at a regionals in 2015 as well. And he just kind of came up to me and just started talking. And some guys are like super intense, and some people are pretty laid back. And I was one of those laid back, and obviously so is Sam.
Right.
So we were just like having a conversation probably about like 10, 15 minutes before our race went off. And then, so that's kind of how I met Sam. But I actually came up and visited them one weekend at TCU for just to have some, like, see them, have some fun. They've been trying to get me to come down at the time for so long, and I was just like, all right, I'll just go up there. So I ended up going to TCU and just for a weekend, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and ever since then, they were like, dude, you should transfer.
Oh, wow. Because you were at Tulsa, University of Tulsa.
Yeah, I was at University of Tulsa, and I loved it. I loved Tulsa. I loved my coaching. Everything was good there. But it was just something about like a big D1 school is just so appealing. But yeah.
And then the size difference between, I went to TCU, so I love TCU. I'd say you should come to TCU, but it's a little late for that. But it was D1. Tulsa is D1. So what's the size difference in Tulsa and TCU?
I want to say the undergrad at Tulsa was like maybe 4,000.
Okay, so it's smaller.
Yeah, it's very small.
Right.
Small.
Okay.
But it's a tough school. It's like a top 75 private university academically, and like it's a tough academic school, but
wow. Yeah, because you mentioned to me you want to be an architect. No, mechanical engineer.
Yeah. I went into my freshman year as a mechanical engineer, and last this semester.
Yeah. There's your lap, right?
Yeah,
I know. So you went to Tulsa, and academically you did very well, but you got a scholarship, right? Yeah. It's difficult to get a scholarship in track, right?
Very. Honestly, I really got blessed with that. That was kind of a lucky thing. 2 years before that, before I had gotten the scholarship, I was like, I'm probably not even going to go to college. Like,
Really?
I was just in a bad place. Not really necessarily a bad place. I just never thought that college was an attainable goal for me.
Wow.
Just cause I mean, I ended up being the first person to go to college and then, in my family, and then also to graduate. So,
Right. Well, let me tell you, we're going to talk about all your incredible accolades from high school on through your pro career now. But I want to back you up to because your story is just incredible, and I try to bring on people that have stories, and you have an incredible one. So you grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, Langston, and you were living with your mother and her boyfriend, right?
that was in Edmond. That was later on.
Okay.
Yeah, that was later on. But,
Okay.
I grew up like with my mom in Guthrie, Oklahoma at the start. And then whenever my parents split, we ended up moving to Edmond. I think I was in Edmond for like maybe not even a year before I ended up going to Langston. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you go there?
So my mom was just like, "Hey, you're gonna go to your aunt and uncle's for the weekend," and I was like, "Okay, cool. I love going to my aunt and uncle's. Like they lived out on a farm, had lots of land, lots of things to do." Especially for a boy, getting into all the kinds of things I get into. And I was like, cool. So I'm gonna go there for the weekend, and I packed a bag literally for a weekend. And next thing you know, I was there for 8 years. So yeah, so
it's a long weekend.
Yeah, that's a very long weekend. A very long weekend. So.
Wow. So partially you grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
It just hit me because you told me the story recently, but you were there, and they're a very important part of your life, I'm sure, right?
Very.
So what years was that? What?
I moved there, I believe in second grade.
Wow.
First or second grade.
Little.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I ended up staying there until 7th grade.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Your mom, I asked you this the other day. I'm like, were you just really bad? I mean, your mom. So tell us that she had a boyfriend.
Yeah. So, whenever I moved back to Edmond, Oklahoma with my mother in 7th grade, and she was a manager at a convenience store. She was just kind of like barely getting by a little bit, but she was living with a boyfriend. So we obviously, me and my older sister and a younger sister, were living with them. And that was, I started, so 7th grade, I started there, and then I lived with them until my sophomore year of, after my sophomore year. Right. So sophomore year summer is whenever I kind of left.
So what was the situation with your mom and the boyfriend?
Well, it was just like a bad situation. It was a bad relationship. There was a lot of like, I guess, domestic abuse, violence going on. And I had originally stood up for my mother, and just because, I mean, me being a macho sophomore in high school, I was just like, I can take them. Right. Wasn't the case. Ended up getting kicked out of my house and just living with friend to friend before the builders came along. So
okay, and that is your family that your sophomore year in high school, because you were telling me you were literally living on sofa to sofa between your friends.
Yeah.
And just that reality of a sophomore, freshman in high school is just that is just so, I mean, it's attainable for me to think through that, but it's just, you just can hardly believe it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you now, looking back and seeing what you went through and how far you've come now. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And you met this precious family in Oklahoma that took you in your sophomore year, right?
Yes. The Billeters, they took me in and helped me kind of get my life back on track. Not kind of, they did. They helped me get my life back on track. And because I was just kind of going down a bad road, whenever I had honestly, from 7th grade to my sophomore year of high school, I did what I wanted. I didn't really have too much structure really at all in my life, which one would think that, oh, you had the cool parents. No, you don't want that. I'd much rather have structure. And luckily, the lessons and everything that I learned being with my aunt and uncle, the respect and just kind of like the people skills that I learned being with them, really kind of helped me to even be likable enough to not be out on the streets. Because I definitely, like, if I was just a bad kid that just was disrespectful and did whatever he wanted, said whatever he wanted to whoever, then I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to at least even stay on the couch.
That's true. That's true.
So that definitely helped me. And honestly, that was kind of just a realization I just made just now. That's actually pretty, that's pretty true. So I think when the builders came into my life, I just kind of like was at a point in my life where I didn't want to keep going from place to place. I didn't want to go from like friend's house to friend's house and not knowing like where my next meal was going to come from.
Sure.
And it was just like, okay, I need to adapt. I need to do what I need to do to kind of have a family, because at the end of the day, I wanted a family.
Sure.
I did. My father wasn't really in my life whenever I was younger, throughout that whole process. But yeah, what kid doesn't want a family? What kid doesn't want a dad to be at your sporting events and all that stuff? And so I just adapted, and I feel like I did a really, good job at it.
You did a very good job.
And so, yeah.
It's interesting because with my daughter, I have an only child, biological child. Structure was very important to me, and I can see, for example, structure in her life, and I guarantee she'll do it with her children if she chooses to have children. But every morning, we didn't have the female chaos. Kindergarten, she would lay out her clothes on the floor, everything, shoes, bow, everything. And she's 21 years old, and she spent the weekend with us she's been with us through COVID. And I walked in her room. On the floor is her clothes for the day.
Yep.
And that structure, she said, helped her mentally prepare, make her bed, things that we expected of her and things to do was necessary for her to thrive. And that's a tiny little thing. Tiny. So structure, being an athlete, is huge, right?
For sure.
Most
definitely.
The training. Anyway, okay, so we're going to come back to that. So your high school year, so I remember you telling me, if I'm not mistaken, so you went with this family, fabulous family, your sophomore year, and they encouraged you to play football.
Yes.
I remember seeing that photograph.
Yeah.
And so as a sophomore, you went on the football team, right?
No. That was my senior year as well.
Senior year.
So I met them this summer going into my junior year.
Okay.
So I ended up wrestling because I loved wrestling. I was wrestling.
Oh, my stars. The onion peels here.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, I was wrestling my junior year, and what else? I played baseball. Wrestled and played baseball. And my mom, she didn't like Tammy. My mom didn't like me wrestling because what's involved with that is cutting weight. And just like I was miserable. Granted, I was used to not eating great meals anyway, so it wasn't too bad for me. But I just remember I had to, because wrestling, you can get easily injured in that. I had to have the talk with my biological mother to for her to give them legal guardianship of me. That occurred in the middle of my junior year, just solely because I needed health insurance.
Oh.
So just in case something were to happen, they could actually they legally could help or legally do what they needed to do. So that's how they became my legal guardians. And then so I'd finished wrestling and then finished baseball, and my parents, they were really involved with the football program at my high school. They did a lot of things. Like I said, my sister Ashton, she was a football manager, equipment manager. So they were all they loved football.
Deeply involved.
Yeah. So
just like Oklahoma and Texas, right? Of course.
Yeah. So my junior year, they would always put on events for after the football games every Friday to come to a church, and we would do just playing football, eating, just all kinds of stuff, kind of like an outreach a little bit, just to gives kids a place to go without having to get in trouble after football games. So we did that, and there was always a flag football game going on, and I obviously always did it, had fun. And I don't know. They just saw that like I was a pretty good athlete, and they're like, "Hey, you should play football." And I was just like, I guess. So my senior year, I ended up playing football, but I had to. My freshman year of high school, I was playing football, but I got kicked off the team just because like I was showing up late, skipping.
You were bad.
Yeah, I was bad. Like,
there it is.
So I had to actually formally apologize to my strength coach, which was the one I had to convince. He was the one that actually kicked me off, but I had to apologize to him, and which that was a tough thing to do because like he's looking at me like, there's no way he's changed. Like
right.
So, but no, I ended up having a great relationship with him as well. So I ended up playing football and doing really well in it, and I was like, oh, like. I guess I'm pretty fast too because like we would do like you time your 40s or whatever, and at the time like I ran 440 flat, and they were just like I just got some like small D2 or NAIA schools kind of reaching out to me to play football for them. I was like, okay, cool, I'll probably end up doing that. Yeah. And then my buddy John Teeters, he actually like he would go to football games and he'd kind of see like a play where like I had to run fast and to catch somebody, tackle him or something like that. And he was like, dude, you should run track. And I was like, no way, I'm not running track. I had ran track in 6th grade because my uncle made me. My uncle made me run track because he was a track coach. So I ran track in 6th grade. It was absolutely terrible. I mean, I wasn't terrible. It was just terrible. Right. The act of just running is just terrible. I'm like, I could do all these different things, but you want me to, you want me to run? So, no, so we had our high school was actually really good, like projected, even without me being on the team, they were projected to win state. So I was like, oh, it's a free championship ring. I'm gonna just do it. Screw it. So I went out for the track team and ended up doing really well. I ended up winning the 100, the 200, the 4x1, and the 4x4 at state.
Won it.
Yeah, won it.
Didn't come up runner up or whatever. Oh my goodness.
And set the state meet record in the 200.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Oh my goodness. And so I will hit these times in a minute, but your 100 time was 10:41, 10:41, right?
10:41.
And then 200 was 21:02. So that was your time in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward and your college time for the 100. And your college time was 9:99.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. When dated, I had a 9:96. That was the first time I ever ran under 10. It was 9:96, but it was when dated, so it doesn't necessarily count.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't count.
It's like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I like to say it just because, but
well, sounds cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So you brought your time up that much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, brought it down. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then the 200. You had in college 2030?
Yeah.
And then 21:02.
Yeah.
Oh my stars. So you shaved off that much time.
Yes, ma'am.
And was that just all the training and just
I think
you knew what you were doing then?
Yeah. Well, honestly, no, I still didn't.
You didn't?
I started running track in my senior year, and if there's which there are videos out there of me running in high school, and it's just like the most awful thing ever. Just looking at somebody, they're just naturally just running down, heads moving everywhere. Like, oh, it's awful. It's completely awful. So I had to fix that. I had to learn how to run relaxed and learn how to do a lot of things. And I think that is what really helped me shave the time that I shaved. I just kind of just learning it more, learning actual because when in high school I'm just like running, it's just like I need to get from point A to point B faster than he does.
So go back to this because you said your head's moving, mm-hmm. your arms are kind of, I think Sam's had this conversation. So you have to learn how to be like a jaguar, just sleek, right?
Yeah. You have to learn how to. I had so many people come up to me and like, "Hey, man, you could run way faster if you stop moving your head." And I'm just like, okay. Sounds great.
I just don't know how to.
Yeah, it sounds great, but next run, I'm gonna do it just because, like, I mean, I don't know, it just has been working. So, and I wasn't like, so I wasn't consciously like, oh, I need to rock my head. It was just something that just happened. Something that I felt like I couldn't control. But the more I learned and the better I got, the faster I got, and the better coaching I got whenever I got to Tulsa, that really helped kind of take me to the next level.
Absolutely. So when you were at Tulsa, you went on campus and had no idea you just had no idea that college was an option for you, which is huge. Yeah. And so you get to Tulsa, you told me that you thought, you know what, I'm going to be a mechanical engineer, right?
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
One semester in, changed up. So I really loved the idea of being a mechanical engineer.
Did you?
I still honestly thought that, like, if I wasn't so committed to track, I could have done it. It was just more so of because I had like my freshman year of high school and sophomore year of high school, I really didn't apply myself. And whenever you miss those basic like courses like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and you just kind of like just barely getting by, you really do lose those skills. Like it's harder to, like, once I got to mechanical Tulsa my freshman year and took calculus 1, chemistry 1, like it was just like it was a different ball game. And I quickly learned that. And my coach quickly learned that. He was like, "Hey man, you're a little stressed."
Right.
You're a little stressed.
We have a friend that she plays golf, and same situation. She was determined to go to the business school, and what a strict, I mean, she's at a D1 school, and what a strict schedule she had. I mean, she's currently there, all golf. I mean, and I mean, there was no time. So her coach encouraged her to choose another degree. You know what I mean? Because it's the commitment. Because what are your training days? Sam has shared that with me before, but what would a typical training day in season look like at Tulsa?
While I was in college? Okay. So I would have courses in the morning, and then around like 1:30, probably around 1, I would go to the training room, just to kind of get my body ready. If I needed to take a warm bath, I could take a warm bath, or if I needed to get in Normatec pants, I could do that. If I needed a massage, I needed to be stretched, or if I was rehabbing anything, I would do that around there. I'd probably be in there for about an hour. And then I would walk to the track. We would have practice for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just depending on what it is. And then right after that, we would go to the weight room, and then we'd be lifting weights and for another hour and a half. And then after that, you go back to the training room because you're beat up from doing all that. Oh. So, and then you study. So, right. I feel like I was able to balance everything pretty well. But and then like your freshman year, you're obviously forced to like do, like you had to go to the case, which was just like our study hall. We had to log so many hours a week in there. And, so that wasn't too bad because, like, honestly, it was worse because I had to go somewhere to study rather than just like sitting in my room.
Sure.
But I really liked going to the library. Tulsa's library is beautiful. It's honestly the best attribute to Tulsa University, University of Tulsa, and I loved like studying there. So, but yeah, so it was honestly from about 1 to 6 or 7, I was doing stuff.
Wow. Every day. Yeah. And your seasons, your track seasons, so there's indoor and outdoor, correct? So what are the seasons? And is this professionally as well as in collegiate level?
Yeah. So I was introduced to indoor actually in high school. We were, like I said, we were a really good track program. So they had the boosters and the money to take us to an indoor meet. And so indoors is for college, it starts in December, and it ends usually around February, the end of February or March, the middle of March. And then outdoors is just pretty much 2 weeks or a week after indoor nationals. And it goes till June. It goes till June if you make nationals.
Wow.
So.
Okay. And so then your off season, you still train during the off season?
I did, just because I can't sit still.
Right.
I can't sit still. I will take like a month off max. That's tough, actually. Like right now I'm supposed to be on break, but I just started listening to Sam again.
Okay, because and that includes lifting
that
and
includes
conditioning.
lifting.
Okay.
So since being a professional, I like to at least be in the weight room getting strong for a month before I even start running. So if I have like 6 weeks off, then I'll take 2 of those weeks and just be completely off.
Right.
And then just get back to lifting that 3rd week, and then just be lifting for at least a month before I start training and stuff. So
where are you and your hopeful teammates for the Olympics in 2021? Because we've put this off since COVID, if I'm not mistaken. Where are you all? Because I know you have some fellow teammates that you do know. Where are y'all on your training now? You're off now, but when does all this start? See, I don't get
the thing is that everyone is completely different. So there are some people, like my old training partners, some of them are still training. And I'm just like, nah, I don't want to travel, especially right now with the COVID. Like, it would be terrible to go over to Europe and then end up getting COVID, and then you're stuck there.
Yeah.
So I love Europe, but I don't want to be there any longer than I have to be.
Right.
So I actually decided to shut my season down in the middle of like 3 weeks ago was my last meet. 3 or 4 weeks ago was my last meet.
It was.
And I just decided to shut down, but there are people still running, and then there's people that shut it down like in April.
Is it hard to pick it back up? You're so young but you know what I mean? Like, is it hard to, you obviously, by looking at you, you're not out of shape.
No.
But is it hard to, once you start trying, like, if, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't do cardio for a week or two, I feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's with anybody. But the thing is that our out of shape it's not necessarily out of shape, but it is out of shape. So out of race shape, at least. So if you take a month off, which a lot of people kind of did with the COVID, and then they just hopped back into training, it's hard to do that. It's hard for your body, because your body goes from not having to exert so much energy for sprinting and lifting and stuff like that, to going right back into it, and then they end up getting hurt, and it just messes up. And then some people, like I have a one of my old training partners. He's incredibly gifted. He just sometimes he just can naturally go out and just run fast. Like, whether he's training hard or not, he just can. So it just kind of depends on your body style and how you train normally. So yeah, we can definitely be out of race shape, and whenever you start racing and more, you kind of get more and more into race shape, which that's more of like when you start to like see good results on the track. And
sure.
So it just kind of depends on the athlete.
Right. So speaking of injuries, you have had and have, is it just a thing? I mean, I have so many injuries, it's ridiculous, but tell me about your injuries and how does that affect you?
So I had a lot of hamstring issues in college. I ended up my freshman year, I ran really well indoors, made nationals and got 6th place there. And that was like a huge feat. I was like, that's awesome. I never ran 60 before. And all of a sudden at one point I was number 1 in the nation, like freshman year. Like, I was like, all right, this is awesome. And then I go outdoors and then just hamstring pops.
Oh no.
So that can kind of like, that comes with a lot of different things. It's like, for me, it was a muscle imbalance. My quads were much stronger than my hamstrings could handle. So I ended up injuring. I had probably like, I had my major hamstring issue was my freshman year. I actually it was a slight tear. It was a partial tear almost off the bone, which at the origin, which that is very rare for someone that was my age. But because I was so new to, it's usually like that happens to not adolescent, but like, I guess teenage kids,
Right.
like people that aren't fully through puberty, but for me, it was just because like I had just started a new sport where like it was like I really need those hamstrings to be strong.
Right.
So, and they were not. So
Right.
I ended up spending a lot of time working on that hamstring. It was my left hamstring. I was working on it. And then once I got that one good, my right one would go.
Oh no, balance.
So yeah, so it was just more so of like just kind of managing it. And for me, I never listened to I didn't know listening to your body was a thing. I was just like, I need to do this rep as fast as I can
Sure.
every time because I just thought that that's what would make me great.
Right.
And it does, but you also need to balance that with rest. So, and I had to learn that the hard way. And yeah, so.
I didn't realize rest and recovery was so important. And I was a competitor in fitness competitions for many years. And I just never I didn't rest.
Yeah.
And, I had the diet down, I had the workouts down, but I didn't realize how important until Sam taught me how important and how exhausted my body was. And I couldn't perform. And I think that's why I didn't do as well as I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And you say, listening to your body. I just started listening to my body about 3 years ago, and probably how many surgeries have I had on spine? Just started listening to my body, and I'm 55 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think if you have that in you, now you know, and you have to. And it's hard because I don't want to listen to my body. I don't think it knows anything. I just want to go and be the best. Absolutely. So question for you, and I asked this, I think the very first time I met Sam, I was so enamored with his story, very similar. Was going to play soccer and came from London over to the United States and recruited by TCU. And I asked him, and he had injuries, and I asked him, do you just love running? And he's like, no, not no, but hell no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, who loves running? And I have friends that are in that, high school or college track, how difficult it is mentally, right? Do you love running?
No, not at all. Not even the slightest.
Is that something?
And what's crazy though? Like whenever I was wrestling and I was playing other sports, I would go on jogs. I would just do all kinds of stuff. I like all kinds of running. Like I enjoyed it. It was a good way to kind of decompress and I was going through a lot as a kid. So I would kind of like go run and just kind of run off everything, run off all my stresses, run off everything. But now, once I started running track, I haven't done that. I don't do that. Right. Running is like the worst thing ever.
Do you think okay, because you're a sprinter.
Yeah.
Is it sprinting versus going on a jog? Is that it? Because I have friends that jog. I'm like, no. Yeah. Never have I loved running.
Well,
ever. You know what I mean?
As a sprinter, personally, I don't like running anything over a lap. I don't even like running a lap. So, if I could just go in and do like some short sprints and that would get me to 9.9 or 9.8 shape, I'd do it.
Right.
But I can't do that.
No.
So, it's just a matter of kind of learning, not really learning, like as an athlete, we talked about like structure and discipline. You really need to just be disciplined. And I think the biggest thing is just buying into whatever program you're in.
Right.
And that's with anything. That's with weight loss. That's with just whatever life takes you, wherever life takes you. Like if you're completely bought into your mission and what the plan that's been laid out for you, then I think whatever it is, you'll be successful at.
That is fabulous advice. I mean, that is it. If you're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you went to college, you weren't really prepared academically, you said earlier, and you're all in now. You have to be.
A lot of people questioned why I went to Tulsa. And they questioned it just because Tulsa's a small D1 school and they are not a sprint program. They're definitely a distance program, cross country. They do really well in that. And they're like I had a lot of people my freshman year like, why are you at Tulsa? Like, what are you doing? You need to transfer over here.
Really?
But I'm just like I was completely bought in. I loved my coach, and I like coming from the situation that I came from. It was just like cool to be wanted by somebody.
Right.
So I was just like, I've completely bought in, and my coach was very knowledgeable. Like he had a master's in exercise physiology. Like he if I asked him something, he would give me an in-depth explanation as to why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a talker, so I'll ask him, hey, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? And he'll just talk to me, and that's why we work so well together. And it just worked out for me. Obviously, I was able to run sub 10, and which is a huge feat, and it just worked out for me and being the best situation for me, which I don't think I would have gotten at a bigger school, at a big university.
So in college, you have on your bio here, a fun fact, you are the 97th person in the world to run under 10 seconds in the 100-meter dash in history.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
Look it up.
That is,
It's there.
Google it.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. Where were you when you did that?
That was the Win Legal one. So that was in 2015 at conference in Connecticut. So I was at University of Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was what meet was it?
It was just conference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an accolade right there. I mean, you can guy goes in a bar and tells that someone.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I was honestly shocked. I didn't think that was true. And I just did more research. And I was like, dang, that's pretty cool.
And was that just at the peak of your, I mean, was that, obviously you were, you'd arrived there.
Yeah, I had run really well throughout it. And honestly, that year, I was doing the most running. So I was running a lot of like 400s. I was running a lot of I was just fit.
Wow.
And it was just working out really, really well for me. And even in the next year, I actually felt even better. But I ended up getting injured, and that kind of just messed up. I had knee surgery, and
oh gosh, there's the knee.
Everything. Yeah,
and there's the knee. Oh dear, and there it is. Yeah. Okay, so your college degree, what did you graduate with? What is your degree?
So exercise and sports science.
Okay.
It's just a long, fancy way to say kinesiology.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so I ended up graduating with that in December of 2016.
So kinesiology, at definition here, big on definitions, is a form of therapy that uses muscle monitoring to look at imbalances. There it is. Imbalances that may be causing disease in the body. So kinesiology major, you could do a myriad of things. You could certainly be a physical therapist. You could go, because that's another level of school. And now you are personal training and, of course, being a pro athlete. Yeah. So tell me about, before we go into your pro athlete, tell me about your excitement of training people. And do you train people all the same?
No. So everyone's different, for
right?
Sure. A lot of people. I've been training people since I graduated college.
Have you really?
Yeah. So
okay.
I've been training since 2016. So I ended up originally seeing a lot of people kind of be hesitant to work with me just because I'm a professional athlete. That's intimidating.
Sure.
That's intimidating to people because they're like, oh, this guy's going to be intense. He's going to work me out way too hard. He's not going to know how to work with, I have a back problem. He's not going to know how to work with that. However, that's not the case. Just something that I wouldn't put people through what I have to go through.
Right.
That's just terrible. That's not a good method of training, especially for someone that's just trying to get basic fitness or just kind of get back into shape or just whatever it may be. So everyone's different. Everyone has different limitations. Everyone has different injuries or nicks and knacks there. So, but I love it. I love it, especially being here in Fort Worth. I kind of got the degree wanting to go into PT after, but I graduated and was like, do I really want to do this again? Right. And was like, so I'm gonna stick with track was kind of something that was like the main thing for me, like where I was gonna center everything around. And I ended up working as a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness and I enjoyed it. It's just those bigger corporations are just so they don't care about people. They just care about the money.
Right.
And they were making me be a salesman and all that stuff. I'm not a salesman. I'm just like, if you want to train with me, come train with me. Let's do it. Let's do a free session and we'll do a session. And if you like it, cool. Sure. If not, good luck.
Right.
So I ended up leaving that job and just like coaching and training people. So I would coach some kids. Some parents would have me coach their kids. Like before I left here, I was training a basketball team in Austin, a little soccer kid, and a couple of track people.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed that. Coaching is because I have a coaching minor. Like with my degree, it came with a coaching minor. So
that's great.
Yeah. So but with that, I had to learn a lot of like how to deal with people with injuries, how to deal with like just all kinds of things. And so being here at Watts Fitness, like state of the art gym.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's just a great environment. It's very, very nice, and anything you need, it's there.
Right.
So, and you don't have to walk all the way across the gym to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, well, you do, but it's just not as long as a walk.
Right, exactly.
So, it's just very nice and quaint. And I love the people here so far. Everyone's been so welcoming. I just enjoy it. So.
Right. And with the gym, Sam's gym, it's incredible. I mean, the machine, out of control.
State of the art.
Oh my gosh. But I love it because first of all, you guys are brilliant. Kinesiology, you don't know me well enough, but I do have quite a few injuries, and I love it because it's a boutique type gym.
Mm-hmm.
I've not, there's no one in there training when I'm, nobody wants to be there at early. And Sam doesn't even want to be there as early as I would train at 4 if he won't train me at 4. Anyway, so.
I'll go before you before
would you do, see, I would do it. I would totally do it. I told him that the other day. So, I love it because I'm in there by myself.
Yeah.
There's never, and from what I gather, there's never anyone in there other than when you're there with him, there's 4 people basically.
Yeah.
And right now we have to keep COVID in mind,
mm-hmm.
and social distance, and there's enough. And I love that because the boutique, and I was a personal trainer at one time, and I remember watching other personal trainers talking to chicks, drinking coffee, or girls talking to guys, and they were
mm-hmm.
not focused on their clients. You've seen that, right? Mm-hmm. No. So anyway, I love that you're there. Yeah. So excited you're there. You're training some of my friends, so I love that.
Yep.
Okay, so when you have a client come in, tell me how important diet is. How important is that?
It's like 75% weight
Which
loss.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the gym 6 days a week.
Yeah, you can't outwork out a bad diet. You just can't do it. If you can work out 7 days a week, 6 days a week, and if you're eating Whataburger or McDonald's every day, then it's not doing anything for you.
Not happening.
And so your diet is so important for people. And a lot of people struggle with it. It's a hard thing to kind of get down, but I just try and guide people the best way that I can. And they're always going to get a great workout when they're with me. It's just a matter of kind of sitting down and kind of talking about, okay, what are you eating right now, and how can we fix that to make it better, or what can we substitute that with in order to make it better, or just whatever it may be. So.
Right. You know what, too? I see some people younger than I am, but on medication that they prescribe medication and taking it as they should, but how that affects your body chemistry, right? I mean, it's so alarming because, again, I eat a really clean diet. I love wine, but I eat really clean and I work out. But hormone imbalance, we've talked about this, Sam and I, many times. Hormone imbalance and medication that you may or may have to take. It's so frustrating, right?
And a lot of those things can be like completely substituted with just working out daily.
1,000%, right?
And so just because whenever you work out, it releases endorphins, it releases all kinds of things that your body like naturally would produce that you're having to take by pill, which isn't good.
Exactly.
So just getting back into working out and getting healthy and fixing your diet just helps take away all that stuff.
Absolutely.
All the money you're spending on life insurance and not life insurance, health insurance, and doctor's bills and all that stuff can just be fixed by just going to the gym.
Well, you and I have you're training Laura, a friend of ours, and she was telling me, she texted me after your first session, and then second, because, she's a former athlete as well. Mm-hmm. And she said, I had forgotten how excited and how great I feel. The endorphins, of course, the endorphins, and how great she's feeling now. And that's just, you forget after you are not in the gym and you're not taking care of your body, not that she's not, but you just remember that feeling of how great you feel.
It's so awesome too, as a trainer, to see people like change and adapt. Like Laura, I've seen her already, like from the first upper body workout that we did to the one we just did. It's just night and day. It's awesome. It's awesome to see how much she's already like kind of changed and fixing.
Wow. So. Congratulations, Laura. Did you know that she was on the polo team, the equestrian polo team at Tech?
Yeah.
I mean, she's I know. She's something else, right? I heard she was going to kick some booty with golf last weekend.
I was ready for it.
You were part of that, Paul.
I was ready for it.
Yeah. Do you believe that Laura is that?
That's what I heard. I wasn't able to make it because I had to go lay network cable in the new building. Oh, but because you weren't able to make it either, were you?
No.
Yeah.
So it just worked.
Sam was like, well, I guess I'll just be alone. And he actually broke 100 that day.
He went 97.
Wow.
And I was like, come on.
Okay, so our friend Laura that we're speaking about, Laura, we're talking about you, is special. I mean, she's a great golfer. Now, we haven't even started talking about Paul's.
It may or may not have been because I was scared to lose to her.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't know. I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
I'm never scared.
She was at...
No, I was working really hard to get her nice and sore. So she wouldn't be...
Nice. Just make sure you work out the day before we play.
Yep.
Okay, so we are literally at my house, and I went, Laura, did I hear that you're playing those clowns on Sunday morning? She goes, she puts her Gucci bag over her shoulder, and she goes, I'm going to kick their asses. I'm like, okay, all right.
And then she didn't show up.
She didn't show up. Okay, just saying, Laura. You
Someone's scared.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're going to.
I don't know.
Whether
all three of us bailed. So
her, no one will ever know.
Bless her heart, she's not in here, but she will be talking to us about this. I'm quite sure.
I'll see her later today.
Oh, God.
Right after this, actually.
Exactly. There you go. Okay, so we talked about diet. So let's go to your pro career and what you've got going on. You've been all over the place with your pro career. So tell me what's going on. You're a USA versus a World University of Penn gold medalist twice.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So that's Penn relays. So I'm sure that usually plays on NBC every year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the USA versus the world. It's a fun little event, but
a fun little event.
Yeah, it's a fun little event. So.
A fun little event is a soiree at my house, okay? And wine and cheese, okay? So that doesn't sound like a fun event.
Yeah, it's cool. You get gold watch if you win.
I won't.
I mean, not a real one, but it looks cool.
So tell me what else? What all you've got? You've done so much. So. You did what is it? Okay, Pan Am Games in Lima, Peru, bronze medalist. Yeah. Okay, so when you question for you, and trust me, not judging here, but when you medal bronze versus gold, do you have that in your mind of
yeah,
you do
100%.
That's the thing.
100%.
It's mental, right?
I don't think it matters what event it is. If it's not first, you just kind of like
really.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah. And I've heard that being a pro athlete or an athlete, the mental side of it, right?
It's track, especially, I feel like it's such a mental game. You really need to have the confidence of Usain Bolt. Like no matter what, it doesn't matter what race you're at, you just have to have that level, the highest level of self-confidence in yourself. And
he does.
Oh yeah. He should. He should.
He should, right?
So, and I'm sure that there's times where he doesn't have confidence in himself. I'm not that he doesn't, but like,
sure.
Like the first meet of the first race of the year is always like, oh, this is kind of the decider of how my training went the whole fall. And so that can be nerve-wracking. A lot of it is mental, but if you just kind of have it in your mind, like, hey, like I did everything I needed to do, 100%. I gave my all, at every practice, I did everything that I physically could do, then that's honestly the best thing for you.
Right.
You're not too caught up on the time, what time pops up, which subconsciously every sprinter is always just like, well, what time popped up? They want to see. So, but I think that if you can just like go through and mentally like not like if you can get over the hump of like, hey, I did everything that I need to do and I can just move forward, just go compete and have fun, then that's honestly going to be the more relaxed athlete, and they're probably the most confident.
Do you think that, what are your thoughts on distractions? How important is it to avoid distractions, meaning relationships that could be toxic?
So important.
Right?
So important. I recently had gotten out of one, and since then I have just been in a completely different headspace.
Wow.
And it's just a matter of a couple of like not that long ago. So it's like I think that being in the right headspace and not having the distractions of others and like relationship, financial, like just everything, because finances comes with the pro track life. It's not basketball, it's not football, it's not baseball, where you run track professionally, or you play baseball professionally. Okay, you have at least $1 million in the bank. Like no, it's not that way. Track is not that way. It's not as heavily supported as those sports, but so you can have all kinds of stresses as a professional athlete. I honestly didn't really consider myself a professional athlete until I got a contract.
Really?
I mean, you technically are, but like in my head, I'm like, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not a professional. Like,
right.
I'm doing everything I can to kind of earn. It gave me something to like try and earn.
Attainable goal.
Yeah. So, in my head, it's just one of those things that I had to really, really work hard at. And luckily, like I'm with ASICS now, and I absolutely love ASICS. I had never worn ASICS before, never a shirt, never some shorts, socks, never, and I won't ever go back.
Really?
Even if they stop sponsoring me today, I will 100% wear ASICs.
Well, and I asked you before who your sponsors were, and I asked Sam as well who your sponsor was, and he mentioned ASICs because, you have to believe in something. I mean, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you obviously want to get paid, pay the bills, but
For sure.
you have to believe in something. I mean, it's on your back, right?
Definitely. With like Nike or Adidas, who really don't need you. They really don't.
Sure.
They don't need you. Even ASICS or like New Balance, they don't need us. But like Nike really doesn't. Like they're really cutthroat.
Right.
They don't have any. They may have some personal relationships, but like at the end of the day, if you're not running well, you're not making them money, they don't care about you.
Right.
Whereas if like with ASICS, I created a friendship with my ASICS rep before I even signed with ASICS. So it's just a completely different environment, completely different like method of business. Because at the end of the day, it is business.
It is business.
It is at the end of the day. So if you're not helping make them money, then you're not worth anything to them, technically.
Well, you are wise beyond your years, because I don't know if when I was your age, if I was thinking that way, because that is a very wise way of looking at it, because it's business.
Yeah.
And I'm so emotional and emotionally tied to different things of my career. It's difficult to say it's just business.
Yeah.
They just fired you. It's just business. You know what I mean? But yeah, so the New Balance, if you go on YouTube, you did the Untold Athlete story, Back on Track. And that is such, if you go to YouTube, you can check that out. But it was such just kind of a short synopsis of your life.
Yeah.
Of how you got there. And that was your senior year at Tulsa, right?
Yeah, that was my senior year at Tulsa.
Oh my gosh, it's great. I mean, so New Balance, and then, I mean, they didn't present a contract to you. No.
So that actually was, New Balance was doing like a little campaign. It was called Untold Athlete Stories. And one of my friends was like, hey, he was a kind of a video producer. And he was like, "Hey, you have a really cool story. I think that it would be cool to do it." And so we ended up reaching out to New Balance and writing a letter of everything that I have. And they were just they loved it, so they sent out a whole camera crew and everything like that. And I was like, okay, cool, this is gonna put my foot in the door for New Balance. Like I could possibly get a contract, even though I got injured, like, and all this stuff. And no, not at all. It's completely different departments.
It sounded good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it sounded great, but it was completely different departments. So,
Oh no.
yeah, but it was still like a really cool thing to kind of get my name out there. It was, I had been injured and I was really down on myself because after my junior year, whenever I ran the 999 and the 2030 and doing really well, I actually got offered a contract to go pro after my junior year, and I didn't do it because I wanted my degree.
Sure.
I was 1 year in, and I just 1 year left, and I was just like, I want to have a degree because at the end of the day, like my legs can be cut off, but I got a degree.
Exactly.
So like you can't run forever. So I stayed and did that, and I got really down on myself because I got injured, and I was just like, I just completely ruined this and messed this up. But God had a plan for me and brought me here.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. So, when you're pro, you obviously need a representative, so an agent, right? So you do have an agent.
Yeah. So I'm with World Express Management. It's with Mark Pryor. So he's my agent currently. He's been my agent from the jump. He's believed in me from the jump, and we kind of went through some trenches to get to where we're at with the ASICs. So I'm very grateful for him. But yeah, so.
Yeah, that's great. No. Okay, so you were telling us before the show that you may have the opportunity to cross over and do the bobsledding in Beijing, China. Is that in the Winter Olympics? Are you joking? I cannot wait.
Yeah. So honestly, I was just like, I was going through, because I have to check my emails all the time because of just my business in general. So I was checking my emails, and I always check my junk emails as well because sometimes some stuff gets thrown over there. And I'm going through my junk emails, and it was like USA bobsledding. I was like, that's weird. So I opened it, and it was like, hey, so we were. Mark Pryor, I guess, my agent had mentioned to them, like, I might be interested in doing some bobsled stuff. And I was just like, cool, yeah, like I'll do it. So because
sign me up.
Yeah, so because COVID is going on right now, they're not really doing any like tryouts for it, which the tryouts, it's not a joke. It's not. It's very trialing events that you have to do. It's just a 40-yard dash, and then a broad jump, and then a weighted throw. All explosive things, which is something that just comes natural for us.
Okay.
So it won't be difficult to do, and go to the rookie camp that they have in Lake Placid, New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I might do that. I'm gonna definitely try it and entertain it. I think ASIC. I haven't talked to them about that yet. So they.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think. They would probably be in support of it because Lolo Jones was actually an ASICS athlete, and
was she?
Yeah, she was an ASICS. Well, she still is part of ASICS, but she was full blown track, and then transferred over to bobsled, and then was back track as well. So I feel like they would kind of like it, and I mean, what company wouldn't like just like a winter and summer Olympian if possible. So I'm putting everything into this next season to do my best to make the Summer Olympics in Tokyo 2021. So I'll do that wholeheartedly, and then after that I'll pretty much just go straight into trying out for the 2022.
So impressed. Oh my gosh, that's so impressive. Yeah. Wait till I tell Greg. My husband's the biggest hype guy ever been.
Yeah.
He'll be so impressed. Oh my gosh. Well, that is just wonderful. So when you have a family someday, if you choose to have a family, how you have come so far, where you are today, do you just shake your head and go, I am a blessed young man?
Very, very.
Right?
I feel like one of the best things my father taught me was how to not be a dad.
Okay.
So I know, as blunt as that is, it was just like, I have always been someone that's like, I'm going to be the best dad ever, the best husband, the best, whatever it is. So I just want to like do everything I can to give the kids. I don't want to bring another kid into this world to go through what I had to.
Right.
And that is something that is very like near and dear to my heart, and something that I kind of thrive and strive for in life in general. So the professional track and doing everything that I'm going through and all that stuff it's great and all, but I feel like that would be kind of like the best, like coolest thing to see.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And I love that because we all do learn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've talked with a lot of people on the show and a lot of people in my life, and given second chances, whatever it may be, but just how to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Break the cycle is so huge of where people came from, and you see abuse and stop the cycle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
for sure.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think that that's so crucial, especially in life, is, well, for me, my life specifically, I had to break a cycle of just kind of getting by and just doing the bare minimum to survive.
Right.
That's kind of how I viewed my family.
Right.
And I feel like I did a lot in my life to separate myself from that. And luckily, I just came across the right people at the right time. And it just kind of worked out for me to kind of be able to take an even further step away and really see what life is like without like just kind of getting by.
Right.
And since then, like I've obviously tried to rekindle my relationship with my biological family, just because, I mean, you only have one family.
Sure.
And I mean, you have several families. You can have several families, but
you're my family now.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
I have a new mom now, Mama T.
Tiffy's kids.
So, but yeah, no, it's just a matter of just kind of. I just don't want them to feel like they completely lost me, because
Right.
they didn't. My sisters have no, like, they didn't do anything to me. They didn't do anything negative to me. My mom, although I kind of went through it, and I put a lot of blame on her in that area. I also don't feel like it's too much of like I don't think that because of what I went through in high school, it should affect like the remainder of my life. You know?
Of course.
So,
it doesn't define you.
Yeah, at all. So like I still try and rekindle and talk to them, and
Perfect.
So yeah.
And they must be so proud of you. I
Yeah.
mean, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
I mean, you
Of
just
course.
came to Fort Worth and just dove right in.
Just
I mean,
dove right in.
I know. Here, you're going to. Sam made you come in here, didn't he?
No.
Okay, we can find you on Instagram at Bryce, BRYCE_Robinson6. That's you on Instagram. We're going to be watching you.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you again. And you're one of Tiffy's kids now. You know that,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Tiffy kids.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening today. And follow us on YouTube. Subscribe, please. We got to get up in that Apple world and rate and review this fabulous podcast. And follow me on Instagram at Tiffany C. Blackman. Everyone, have a wonderful day and keep being fabulous.